Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Devils in God's Country. I'm one of your hosts, Casper Rigsby. This is my wonderful, talented, lovely co host, Miss Allie Jackson. Say hi, Miss Allie.
Hi.
Um, Sorry that we didn't have a show for you last week. I was in the hospital because my body tried to kill itself. And so I've been laid up and just feeling like shit, trying to recover, trying to recoup a bit, get back to 100%. I'm doing better for those of you that may have actually, may be friends with me on Facebook and stuff. You guys know what's going on. For those of you that are not, bit of a bout with congestive heart failure and pneumonia, and just for good measure, my kidneys decided they were going to try to shut down too. So, but I'm on the mend, getting better, feeling better, doing a lot better. So, this week we would use that experience as a bit of a platform to discuss the relationship or lack thereof, or what should be a lack thereof of a relationship between, excuse me, between religion and medicine and science. These are of our lives that generally, I honestly don't think should have any real um, with each other, and they don't really have any purpose to have any contact with each other. A person's religious. Oh crap! I lost Miss Allie. Well, hopefully she'll be back in a minute. Personally, I don't believe that anyone's religious views or beliefs have any place in the medical or scientific arena. Um, to a hospital, um, be treated um, for whatever illness is affecting me, for whatever problem, and that should be the extent of what happens there, unless I personally request more than that, such as some sort of spiritual, existential guidance, or additional, I guess, to give it a terrible word, say treatment of that sort of nature. Um, I request that. It honestly doesn't have a place in the hospital. It doesn't have a place in my hospital room, or um, in dealing with my nurses or my doctors. I shouldn't hear them saying things like, "Oh, it's a miracle you're alive," or "Would you like me to pray with you?" Um, all of these sorts of things have no real place in the world. They don't have a place in a in what should be based on reason and science and understanding. So when a nurse asks me if she wants me to pray with her, or wants her to, if I want her to pray with me, um, that's a terrible assumption to even think that I would want you to pray with me. Assumption on your part to think, oh well, you must be a believer, so you must want me to pray with you. That's a horrible assumption to make. And believer of some sort, how do you know I believe the same bullshit you believe? You don't have any fucking clue. I'm there because I'm sick, or something terrible has happened to me that needs attention. Um, and of course, in this last stay in the hospital, I had a nurse actually ask me if I would like her to pray with me, and I flat out told her no. I'm an atheist. Um, I have faith in your ability to do your fucking job and to know what your job is and to do it to the best of your ability along with your colleagues. That's what I have faith in, and that's what I expect from you. No, I don't want you to pray with me. I don't want you to pray for me. I don't want prayer to be involved in this at all. I want you to do your goddamn job. I want you to know your goddamn job, and I want you to do it to the best of your ability. And if you do it to the best of your ability, and I still die, then we're all good. That's fine. You know, that's how life works out sometimes. Sometimes you do everything that you possibly can do, and you still can't save a person, and that's just the horrible facts of the medical profession. And and have people tell you all the time, oh, well, this one particular person survived this one particular event, and it's a fucking miracle. Other people don't survive that fucking event. It's terrible. It's terrible for every other person that didn't survive that, for their families and loved ones that are still sitting there. It's terrible. And if they were to hear that, to hear, oh, well, this person survived this fucking brain cancer, and this inoperable tumor, whereas your loved one didn't. How terrible for them to hear that. Apparently, your God loved that person, your loved one. Somebody prayed harder for that person than they did for your loved one, and it's bullshit. In the medical profession, your religion has no fucking place. I don't care if your hospital was founded by Catholics or Baptists or Protestants. I don't care if dollars have gone into it from fucking religious organizations. You're there. People survive illness, and unless they ask for your religious guidance, place there. You're there to help people, regardless of their beliefs, regardless of your beliefs. That's what you're there for. And it's been my entire life of going into hospitals and dealing with these people who want to say, "Oh, it's a miracle, this, that, or the other. It's amazing that you're even still alive. You should thank God." Motherfucker, no. I should thank the doctors that did their job. I should thank the nurses that did their job. That's who's going to get my appreciation. Those are the people that deserve my appreciation and adoration. So, Allie, you're also dealing with a sick youngin tonight. He's been battling off and on with issues. So, you know, do you deal with this a lot when you take him in, when you go to the hospitals?
As especially with children, and that's the kind of scary, gross part is. If you're not there all the time watching them, you don't know which nurse is going to come by and be like, you know, are you scared? Do you pray about these things? And they start talking to your kids about it, and it's like, no, please don't. But I do have a kid that has hydrocephalus who's been in and out of the hospitals his entire life. When he finally did have a shunt, he has a rare form of hydrocephalus. Normally it fills the ventricles, your spinal fluid and brain fluid, CSF, fills the ventricles in your brain, pushing it outwards. Well, his surrounds his brain on the outside and squeezes his brain inward. So it's kind of a bit more scary in the sense that he has had ruptures in his brain due to the pressure building up and squeezing his brain really tight. And for the longest time, because it was a rare form of hydrocephalus, they wanted to experiment and see, you know, well, we'll do 2 spinal taps a week and see if this starts to relieve the pressure. I don't know if anyone's had a spinal tap before, but it is traumatizing. And they had to do it with no anesthetic so that they could see his behavior before the spinal tap versus directly after the spinal tap. So the poor baby had to have this done repeatedly. And I finally got to the point where I would have anxiety attacks. I would break down, you know, please don't do this to my baby. I can't, they wouldn't let me be in the room anymore. And of course I would get the, would you like us to send a chaplain to pray with you and your family that we, you know, you'll find hope that this is going to get fixed. This is going to get fixed. And at that hospital, actually, for 9 months, it did not get fixed. I ended up having to take him to a specialist at the University of Chicago who had seen this case like 53 times in his lifetime, or at least had heard of this case 53 times in his lifetime, and knew exactly what to do and everything. So he immediately looked at my son, looked at his scans, and said, "This child needs a shunt. We need to do surgery ASAP. This is going to fix him." So finally done with the medications, finally done with the spinal taps, finally done with everyone telling me, "Oh, it's going to be okay. God's going to get you through this. What a strong young man. His journey's begun, and God already has a plan. Blah blah blah." And first of all, that's unfair to tell people. It's outrageously unfair to tell a parent. I've had a stillborn child that I lost late in pregnancy. I was expecting a baby girl, and I lost her. I went into labor early, and to be told by these people, everything's going to be okay, and then in the end it didn't turn out to be okay. That was hard. It was hard because I was putting my faith in these people to get me through this, and when they couldn't, they want to say it was God's plan. God has another angel. God needed another angel. Fuck you. And then here I am dealing with this with my son and being told everything's going to be okay. Well, I lost faith in the medical, aspect of this. And God certainly wasn't going to be on my side. So I felt like it was me and my son versus the world. And sometimes to these days, I still kind of get that defense inside of me that it's just me and him versus the world. I can't trust the medical teams. I can't trust a God. I can't trust anybody to do this, when in reality, that's all you have is this medical team that's watching over and taking care of you. But I digress. Back to his initial surgery. So his initial surgery was supposed to last 3 hours. It was going to be a little bit more complicated due to the excess fluid on the outside of his brain. And it ended up lasting 5 hours. So once we hit that 3 hour mark and the doctor hadn't come out and said everything's okay, and then once we hit the 3:30 and then the 4 hour mark, it was again where nurse was like, "We're still working on it." Once I finally just lost my mind, would you like to go into the room? We can pray with you. Everything's going to be okay. And to hear that, here, everything's going to be okay. Would you like us to pray with you? That is just the meanest thing you can tell a parent when you don't know if everything's going to be okay. And you sure as shit know praying is not going to save a child when it's the fucking doctor's responsibility to do it. So he ended up being okay. There were complications that left the left side of him kind of limp just for a little bit of time. Fully recovered from that. But there were some great complications that, had I known about it at the time, waiting for the surgery to be over, I probably would have lost my mind even more so. But I think that it's downright evil to integrate religion into medical science in a hospital. I think it's downright evil. I think it's evil to look at a parent or look at a patient like you, Casper, when they tell you everything's going to be okay. We've done this procedure billions of times over. You're going to be just fine. Well, what if this is the one time you're not going to be fine? What if there was something, some strange abnormality that they didn't ever have to handle before, and all of a sudden that procedure they've done a billion times over kills you? But they told you everything was going to be okay, and let's pray, let's put this in God's hands. That's evil, and it's unfair. And like you said earlier, which God? We have so many different people in this country that rely on medical care, that have so many different beliefs. Which God? Just because the nurses and the doctors, they're here, they're American, they're probably Christian, Protestant, or Catholic, it doesn't really matter. They all see it as the same God anyways. It's kind of an insult to other people who might be religious, who don't accept your God as theirs. And I think that it's an evil thing to tell people and to do to people, especially with children.
Yeah, it's I've never been one to go for the "it's all going to be okay" speech from the doctors, even as a child. I've been through several surgeries, surgeries, a couple other surgeries on top of those. I have an artificial heart valve and a pacemaker, and it's a weird thing for me. When my doctors came to me at 15 and they said, "Okay, well, we're gonna have to replace this valve. We couldn't repair it." They said, "We've got two options. We can use a porcine valve, which comes from pig, and the chances there's a much higher chance of rejection, and you'll have to take anti-rejection medication the rest of your life, as well as a blood thinner. You know, happens, and then we have to replace that valve every so often because it will." It doesn't have a good shelf life really, or we can put this man-made valve in, that some scientist built somewhere in a lab, and you won't have to take anti-rejection medication except for a couple weeks after we put it in, just to make sure it integrates with your system, and then you take a blood thinner, and that'll be it. So the choice is up to you. And my first immediate thought, of course, was I want the man-made valve. There's just something about, okay, I I trust science. I have this just innate trust that is majorly correct. It's not always correct. It's not 100%. It may not even be 75 or 80%. But to the natural world, what we're able to do from a scientific standpoint, it kind of outshadows what the natural world is able to give us. Um, I look at people like Ken Ham, who's like, "Oh, the eyeball is proof of God's perfect creation," and I'm like, "Dude, you're sitting there wearing glasses. You're a dipshit." Science gave you better vision than you were born with, because the natural world is kind of flawed, and it only has so much to work with, and it's not intelligent. It doesn't build things intelligently. It just goes by the programming that's there and says, "Okay, well, let's assemble this shit," and sometimes it doesn't assemble it correctly because it's not intelligent. It's not thinking behind it. It's just, "Hey, here's a general blueprint," and it's not even all that good a blueprint, and we'll go with that. And sometimes we don't even do that correctly. Versus human beings that are meticulous and intelligent, and we do put thought behind what we do. And when we design something, it's designed intelligently. It's designed with a purpose. It's designed to cause, and it's meant to do a specific thing. We don't design shit frivolously, just like, "Oh, something frivolous." People will say, "Well, what about art or modern art or sculpture? That's just frivolous bullshit." No, it's designed with a purpose, and the purpose is to entertain others or ourselves. There is a purpose behind it. When your child sits down with little fucking Lego blocks, even at 2 or 3 years old, and they build a crazy looking ass tower that's all crooked and out of whack and shit, there's still a purpose behind. He's trying to amuse himself. He's trying to entertain himself, and there is a purpose behind that. It's not random. It's not without thought. It is intelligently designed, and even that little block structure of your 2 or 3 year old is more intelligently designed than your fucking eyeball. The situation. Your eyeball is just years of trial and fucking error to keep an organism alive for a prolonged period of time and to sustain a species over a prolonged period of time. And a great deal of it is error. The vast majority of it is error. So when people interject their religious views um, into the medical world, it's not just, it doesn't just come down to, "Oh, well, I'm slightly offended or bothered by this nurse asking if she can pray with me, or telling me that everything's going to be okay if we just put it in God's hands," or, "Oh, well, there were complications, and I guess God needed another angel." No, it's not just about how fucking abhorrent those ideas are. It's also about how people interject their religion into and into medical science to prohibit others from the fullness and richness of life. It comes down to dealing with shit such as stem cell research. It comes down to dealing with abortion, to dealing with proper proper sexual education, proper giving young teens or adults the proper tools that they need to have a sex life as sexual beings on this planet. Um, all of these things problem that we see that comes to hand when religion asserts itself into medical science. And for all of the good that it's done to have religious groups, especially church, go out and build churches or build hospitals and hire doctors and nurses to work in these hospitals. When a Catholic church and they refuse to give a woman abortion based on their own personal religious views, even when doing so could be detrimental to the life and welfare of that woman, against humanity. And this is why religion doesn't have a place there. And I know there's plenty of people who are going, well, what's the alternative? We just let the government run fucking hospitals? Well, yeah. I mean, I pay a shitload of fucking taxes, and I don't really want to fund fucking wars in goddamn in the Middle East that have nothing to do with me, my life, or my family. I would much rather that money go to pay for fucking hospitals that are, yes, run by the government. That's my money. And as long as they're not telling me, hey, you can't do this, that, or the other, they're just saying, hey, here's a place where you can be taken care of through the use of your own tax money, I'm cool with that. I have no fucking problem with that. Um, Canadians really don't seem to have a big problem with that. Many European countries, honestly, do not have any fucking problem with that. They pay taxes, they have hospitals, they have police officers, they have firefighters, they have the things that their tax money is supposed to pay for. Um, that I would much rather see my money spent there. And then if you want to, if you want to go to a religious hospital, fine. But I don't have an alternative. Non-religious, I don't have an alternative. My hospital is part of Baptist hospitals, in the middle of Tennessee. It's run by the Baptist Coalition. That's who sponsors them. That's who funds them. And their policies and procedures are based on of their religious beliefs. Their policies and procedures are often dictated by those people's religious beliefs. And many of the doctors and nurses there feel that in that setting, they have every right to push their religious beliefs onto others. Religious hospital. So if you don't want to hear it, go somewhere else. Where else is there to go? There's nowhere else. I went to the emergency room. I didn't just go to a random hospital because I felt like going to that hospital. And that's who owns it. That's who runs it. So there's no option. There's no choice there. Um, and I think this is a great place where religion has created a very sneaky monopoly of being able to push ideas and to take advantage of people in a very trying times and push their own agenda. In a monopoly where, they own the hospitals. They own the medical professions. They own the medical professionals. So can shove a Bible in every room, and they want to have nurses come in and tell you how lucky you are to be alive, and God must be watching over you. Then that's what they'll fucking do. There isn't anything that you can do about it. There's no say so that you can have about it. You can complain about it all you fucking want, and they're just going to tell you, well, go get service somewhere else, knowing damn well there is nowhere else to get service. Um, So it's a terrible, terrible monopoly that everyone has to deal with. And I think it's high time that we thought about, you know, why we balk so much at the idea of government. Um, you already have congressmen and senators trying to tell women what they can and can't do with their own reproductive organs. So the government's already in your fucking healthcare. We want them making decisions like that for us in an even greater scale? I don't think so. But I don't think there's anything wrong with government funded and government funded medical centers. Um, and yeah, let's get them out of our reproductive organs and get them in the business of making sure that we have proper, adequate medical attention and medical care and the facilities to do that. I don't know. What do you think, Allie? Would you be for some government funded medical care?
I'd like it. I think it's much better. You spoke of Baptist area down in Austin. Our hospitals are Catholic. So when I had my daughter, there was even a crucifix in my room, which I felt was pretty strange. There was one in every room, in the birthing room, in the room you go to afterwards, just every room. And yeah, I find it really odd that religion stops the majority of our medical growth. And stem cell, you mentioned stem cell research. This is huge. I have an outrageously religious friend, outrageously religious, whose husband has a form of multiple sclerosis that causes extreme amount of pain, just absolutely terrible, what the condition that he has. And she spent tens of thousands of dollars gathering money to go to Russia so that he could receive stem cell therapy for his condition, which has been proven in countries other than America work for MS. And so, our religion is really holding America back here. And I find it funny that you can be so highly religious and not understand that it's your religious beliefs that are keeping us. But your husband should have been able to go to the hospital down the street and receive his stem cell therapy for his multiple sclerosis to be healed from it. And he shouldn't have had to leave the fucking country. That's outrageous. And another thing that you mentioned that I think this might branch off a little bit of our topic, but I still think that it is kind of on the same cue here, is how faith healers deny their children medical attention. And I was reading about this, getting a little bit more into it, thinking about a new blog idea, and I discovered that in some places where it's still perfectly legal to murder your child by not getting it medical attention, as long as it's your religion that says they can do that. Indiana, okay, is one of those states. You can just go murder your kid by denying it medical attention. So what sucks is that when the police come to the home because the child's been reported dead or dying or whatever, they also won't hand the body over. Okay, because that's against their religion. It's against their religion to have the body of the child touched, molested in any sort of way. And I don't mean sexually molested, but just touched or maneuvered in any sort of way. So we can't even get an accurate account of how many children are being murdered by their parents because the state has finally said, we can't intervene anymore. We can send officers out there to try to collect. We can send the coroner along with them to try to collect. But if the parents won't hand it over, what do you want us to do? You want us to claw a dead child out of its parents' grasp? And to that I say yes. Yes, it's exactly what you fucking need to do. You need to take the abused child away from the abuser. They shouldn't have the right to cremate this child or bury this child in their own way after they fucking murdered it. They don't have that right. I don't believe they should have that right. So here we are now, letting religion dictate who gets medical treatment, when they get medical treatment. We have religion setting up hospitals, deciding which medical treatment you're allowed to get at which facility, and which ones they will flat out fucking reject you for. And I think it's dirty. I think this is an absolutely dirty practice, and we're all just sitting around scratching ass, not even caring. And then we still get messages to Atheist Republic, people asking, oh, what's wrong with just, letting people believe what they want to believe? World peace, man. Don't you want world peace? They can believe their stuff, we can believe ours. No, because when so many people have so many stupid ideas, they gather together, and there's power in numbers. There's power in numbers. And sure enough, when we look around us, when we look at how America is not advancing versus other countries, fucking Russia can do stem cell therapy and we can't. Fucking Russia can cure multiple sclerosis symptoms and we can't. I mean, I'm outraged. And then we want to say, well, we've got the absolute best medical care in the entire world. We can't possibly go over to a healthcare system where everyone gets free healthcare, because that's going to take away from our amazing healthcare system. What fucking amazing healthcare system? Now, I get it. I do. I get that we do have some pretty amazing doctors. My son's neurosurgeon is phenomenal, okay? And I know for a fact that he is one of the best in the world. He is one of the best in the world. And ironically, he went and graduated college medical school with the same doctor that performed my son's first shunt. So it's kind of cool that halfway across the country I meet people who are connected. But we've got a great system of doctors. But I don't think that us allowing us to continue on the way we are continuing on right now, I don't think that we will be having the best medical organization in the entire world. I thoroughly believe that we are, every single day we're falling behind. Every single day we are. And one day it's just going to be complete crap because we can't do anything. Mother's dying. A mother's child died in her stomach, and she goes to the hospital and she's having pains and she's having problems, and they won't abort a dead baby. Not here in Texas. Not here. They will not abort a dead baby. The mother has to carry it to term, and the mother has to sit there, and it can possibly kill her, and they will not take that baby out before it comes out naturally. And we're letting this religious shit take over our medical care. And I think, and another thing that I wanted to touch upon, I'm not sure if I did at the beginning of this or not, but when a nurse comes to me and does say, do you want to pray about it? Or a doctor holds my hand lovingly. You and I had the same procedure, the same endoscopy thing. I had mine in December though. And the doctor was so sweet, so bubbly, so nice. I do these all day, every day, blah, blah, blah. Holds my hand, would you like to pray? Would you like this, that? I don't even remember his exact wording, whatever he said. And I said, I believe in you. I remember falling asleep after that. I believe in you. They injected me. I'm out. But the truth of the matter is when you ask me if you want to pray, I don't believe in you anymore. I don't. Because I don't know if you're going to be one of those people who, if something bad happens to me, you say, oh, not my problem. It wasn't her time. It was her time to go. It wasn't her time to be saved. It was God's will. It was God's plan. I don't want a fucking doctor who believes in God's plan. No, sir. No, sir, I don't. I want a doctor who has let a patient die and learned from that and said, that's never going to fucking happen again. That's what I want. And I want nurses who have seen that and said, I know what he did wrong, and I'm never going to let that happen again. But I don't want anyone who's going to say, let me pray with you. Let me just dump you off to, wasn't her day to be saved. Thanks, God. Sorry. No, I don't want that. So, yeah, I don't know if I touched on that earlier, but I totally would love an atheist doctor.
Yeah, Every doctor that I've had since I came out as an atheist, I make it clear to them I'm an atheist. I believe that you should be able to do your job. I trust in your ability and your education and willingness to do your fucking job. Like that's what it comes down to for me. Um, if you're a believer, whatever, you can have that. You keep that to yourself. If you need to say a little prayer before you, excuse me, before you go in there and do the thing, then that's fine. That's on you. I'm not going to tell you, oh motherfucker, you can't pray before you do my procedure for yourself. Like I'm not going to be that douchebag. Like I'm not that big a dickhead. But I am going to tell you, like, don't join hands with fucking nurses around my goddamn body before you do my fucking procedure. Like, oh,
Mm-mm.
let's have an invocation here. Like, I don't know. Do that, man. If y'all motherfuckers want to do that outside the room, fine. That's amongst y'all. Involve me and my passed out ass in your fucking craziness, okay? When you come in that fucking room, into that operating theater, you're there to do your fucking job. And that's what I expect you to fucking do. Come in there, do your fucking job. Get it done. Do your job to the best of your possible ability. Do 100%. Give it everything you've got. Put every bit of your knowledge and education behind what you're doing to get the job done. That's all I ask. That's all I want. I don't want any extra. I'm not looking for a miracle. I don't believe in fucking miracles. Do your fucking job to the best of your fucking ability. And that's it. Um, there are a lot of people out there that will want to argue, well, you know, Casper, Allie, look, man, I kind of get where you're coming from, man, but, you know, prayer and that stuff, like, that comforts a lot of people, man. That makes a lot of people feel better emotionally. And, man, they're just trying to help people emotionally and comfort them. Let me tell you what else comforts people. Fucking morphine. Morphine is very fucking comfortable when you're in fucking pain. Um, I don't necessarily suggest giving morphine to every motherfucker that comes into the hospital, even though that will damn sure comfort them. Xanax and Valium are very comforting to people. I don't necessarily recommend that every time somebody comes into the ER, as soon as they get done signing you pay their papers, you fucking hand them some Valiums. I don't think that that's actually an appropriate way to go about things in a medical setting. In the same respect, asks to be comforted, then by all means, comfort them in the way that they would like to be comforted. If they don't ask to be comforted, then leave them the fuck alone. Like, it's a very simple idea. I've never asked anyone to pray with me in the hospital. Never. Even when I still was going through the motions as a supposed religious believer, I never asked anyone to do that shit. And they always felt like it was, to take it upon themselves. Like, oh well, let's say a prayer. It could be comforting, and we can, let's put your mind at ease. Bitch, this isn't putting my mind at ease. Nothing that's gonna put my mind at ease until you fucking pump whatever drugs you put in me to knock me the fuck out, and then my mind's gonna be at ease because it's gonna shut the fuck down, and it's gonna go whoop, I'm out, and I'm gonna be at ease until the moment when I fucking my eyes open up and I reacclimate myself to where the fuck I'm at. And then I'm not going to be at ease again until I am out of the fucking hospital and everything is okay, and I know that everything's going to be fine at least for a little while longer. It's not going to be at ease until those points happen. Other people may not be that way, and I get it. If you need some sort of comfort beyond that, that's fine. I don't want to take that away from anybody. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be available to those people who want it. What I am saying is it should not be pushed on anyone ever. It should not be just something like, oh, well, this is part of what we do. Here's some crazy bullshit that we can talk to you about some supernatural nonsense if and we'll just put that on the fucking table. I'd rather have fucking value. You want to put me at ease? Give me a value. I don't want a prayer. Prayer ain't gonna fucking do it. The time that you're praying, all I'm gonna be thinking is, why is this crazy bitch talking to herself? That's all I'm gonna be thinking. It's not gonna put me at ease at all. And yes, that is a personal thing, a case by case fucking basis. But that's the point. These people feel like they have an obligation and a right to invade your personal privacy by pushing their ideas upon you and saying, "Oh well, I know what's best for this person, and I can put them at ease and I can calm them if we just, if I say a prayer with them and I hold their hand and God's plan, I can put them at ease."
Well, arrogant.
I know, right? It's not your fucking place, and no, you can't. What you're gonna do is piss me off. And if I'm in there having problems already, now you're adding stress to the whole fucking situation. You're stressing me the fuck out because I don't want to be a dickhead, knowing that you're the person that's going to be poking and prodding me with fucking needles for the next day, 2 days, week or so, in and out of my fucking room repeatedly. Like, you can make that fucking blood pressure cuff just sit there tight as shit on my fucking arm if you want to, because you're pissed off about me being an asshole going, look, bitch, I don't want to fucking pray with you. Get the fuck out of my face. Dickhead. But you're pressuring me, and then I'm sitting here in a position where I have to be the polite, nice one. I have to be the one who has fucking manners, when you should have been polite and had some fucking manners in the first place and not brought your bullshit to the fucking table without me inviting you to it. Comfort people, leave them alone and tell them the facts of the matter. Me, tell me every possible scenario that could go fucking wrong in this upcoming situation. Tell me the percentages of how many people actually have complications during this upcoming procedure. And then say, your doctor has a very good track record with these instances, and there's been very few cases of any complications, with this particular doctor. He's been very good at this procedure, blah, blah, blah. Those things will put my mind at ease to some degree, to know that this medical professional is good at his profession. Help put me at ease. And if beyond that, if I go, oh, I'm still really nervous about this, and I'm, would you mind saying a prayer with me, and if you feel comfortable with that, that's fine. You do that. Fucking table. I love the comedian Bill Burr, and in one of his last specials, he was talking about sort of this sort of man shit. He loves to talk about the whole manly man thing, and he was talking about going to and ordering a sub, and the guy behind the counter, after he orders a sub, the guy behind the counter asks him, "Would you like a cookie with that?" And Burr's just like, in my mind, I'm going off on this guy. I'm like, you don't fucking ask me if I want a fucking cookie. I tell you if I want a cookie. He's like, what the thing is? I did want a fucking cookie, but you don't ask me if I want a fucking cookie. I'm a guy. Like, you don't fucking tell me that. And I think deep down inside, every last one of us is kind of like, you don't fucking ask me if I want a cookie. If I want a cookie, I'll fucking tell you I want a goddamn cookie. Like, I'm a grown ass adult. I know what the fuck I want in my life. I don't need your interjection or your bullshit. If I want a cookie, I see the cookies plainly there. I can see the price tag on them. If I want a fucking cookie, I'll ask for a goddamn cookie. And it's the same way with your prayers. I know that the vast majority of people in this country are Christians, and they love their God, and they want to fucking pray over people, and they want to, feel good about themselves because they feel like they did something without actually doing something by talking to their imaginary friend. Cookie, I'll ask you for it. I know you're selling it. Okay? I know you're selling it. You don't have to fucking ask me. You don't have to offer it to me. I know it's there. And if I want it, I'll ask for it. And if I don't, then keep it to your fucking self, man. That's the general fucking premise. Want to fucking give us their cookies and force their fucking cookies down our goddamn throat. You know, women in this country don't need congressional fucking congressmen who wouldn't know a fucking vagina from a hole in the ground what they're supposed to be doing with their fucking reproductive organs. They don't need that. And especially these men that want to tell women what they're supposed to do with their reproductive organs based on their religious views that are fucking based on 2,000-year-old insanity. You haven't grown up enough to tell other people what to do with their reproductive organs. You still have a fucking imaginary friend. Get to tell other people what to do with their bodies because you are a child. So you don't get to dictate what other people do with their bodies. You're not adult enough. How you got into office is beyond me. What I'm going to do with my body. You're not going to tell my wife what she's going to do with her fucking body. If I had a daughter, you're not going to tell her what the fuck she's going to do with her fucking body. No matter how much you want to, I will find somebody to go the fuck over your head. I will find somebody to provide her with what she fucking needs, and so will she. Find somebody to provide her with what the fuck she needs. The reason Roe versus Wade happened. It was because of backroom fucking abortions and women dying in the fucking streets. How much you don't like it, that shit fucking happens. The decision was made in the interest of the safety of women, not in the interest of your own personal fucking viewpoints and your own personal religious insanity. And the fact that we're trying to backpedal to enter back into an age where women can't receive proper medical treatment is just beyond me. It's beyond me that we would even think about going backwards like that in any way, shape, or form. The attacks on Planned Parenthood, the whole defund Planned Parenthood bullshit, the fact that we have actual women involved in this sort of movement, and involved in wanting to talk about defunding Planned Parenthood, the fact that Carly Fiorina put her dumbass out there for so long trying to fucking say that, oh no, the Planned Parenthood videos, they're selling fucking baby parts and all this other bullshit. Like, we have actual women defending that? Are you kidding me? This is insane. And it's all based on religious bullshit. It all comes back down to fucking crazy ass people, grown ass adults who still have an imaginary friend and who still believe that a 2,000-year-old fucking book presentation of how humanity should deal with social issues, actual logic and reason and scientific understanding. It's insane. As a woman, is that not the most insane, crazy shit you've ever heard?
It scares me. It honestly scares me beyond belief. I don't think the majority of these people who vow to get rid of Roe versus Wade, such as Ted Cruz, I don't think that they quite read any stories or knew any women who back in the 60s were doing back alley abortions. How many women died because of coat hanger fucking infections? How many women died because of, the fear and the anxiety they had? And this wasn't, it's because we have raised our society into this place where women are just the root of all evil. You know, if we have sex, we are gross, we're disgusting, we're freaks, we're trash. If we get pregnant from having sex, we're just the epitome of everything that is gross and wrong in the world. And yet we're expected to bring a child into this world, and we're expected to raise that child knowing and believing that we're trash and we're worthless and we're pointless. And they don't understand. Men don't understand why women might want to get an abortion. Why might a woman want to get an abortion? And you know, you and I have discussed this before, so many different topics, but I think that nobody really thinks the whole picture. And I think that anyone who is against abortion is very lucky. They're very lucky to be so ignorant and to live in a world where their life is so great and they were so loved by their mother, and you know, things were just so wonderful. They think that every mother loves what comes out of them. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. There are some mothers who have children because of the stigma of abortion. They couldn't have one, and their religious beliefs, they couldn't have one, and they hated their child. And their child had to suffer for it forever and ever and ever. And I had a discussion with somebody in our Austin consulate about abortion. He was anti-abortion, said, look at my daughter. I look at my daughter and I wonder, how could anyone ever, want to abort their child? And I told him, my mother should have aborted me. She should have aborted me. That woman hated me. My entire life, my mother hated me. My entire life, I was compared to her. And if I was better than her in any way, she took it out on me. If I was prettier than her, I could not be prettier than her. I could not be thin. I could not be any of the things that she was not. Okay? I couldn't be smart because she wasn't smart. And I don't care who's watching this. This is exactly how things were. And it was psychological torture, and it was disgusting, and it was terrible. And he said, but look at you now. You know, you've got this great life now. Aren't you happy? Don't you feel good? Aren't you happy she didn't abort you? No. I think that I would have saved my brothers a lot of psychological torture they wouldn't have had to have watched growing up had my mom aborted me. I think that a lot of things would have been a lot better for a lot of people in this world had she just aborted me. So I think that men who can't even understand why a woman might want to have an abortion, they cast their fingers down at women. You're nasty, you're disgusting, you're gross. I know I've brought up Casey Anthony before, the mother who killed her daughter because she wanted to go off and party, but was found innocent, but everyone knows she killed her, and tossed her body out in the woods. Some mothers are just not capable of loving their children. And I don't think that it's fair that children are tortured, and many of them end up being killed at the hands of their mothers. And then yet again, we cast our fingers at these women and we say, how dare you, you gross, disgusting freaks. When Casey couldn't even tell her mother she was pregnant. She told her mother she was bloating when she was bloated when she was 9 months pregnant. And her mother just believed it because there's no way her precious daughter was having sex. We can't talk to our mothers about having sex. Then how can we talk to our mothers about having an abortion? And then we're forced to give birth to something that we might not love, we might not want to take care of, and then terrible things end up happening. And then all these people who are anti-abortion under any situation, how wonderful for you. How wonderful that you live in this happy little world where every mother is great, where every mother can afford food for her child, where every mother can afford a roof over its head and can provide it love and hours of book readings and baking cookies for it. How wonderful for you. And as a mother of daughters myself, not only am I scared for myself and all these rules that these creeps are allowed to create, but I'm worried about the world that my daughters are going to grow up in. I'm worried that in 5 years, if my daughter gets pregnant, I'm going to have to drive her. If she decides she wants an abortion, I'm going to have to drive her 200 miles to get an abortion if I'm lucky at that point, if she's lucky at that point. Are my daughters going to have to take to the coat hanger as well? Are our daughters and our granddaughters going to have to die in their bedrooms from bleeding out from infections because they couldn't step forward because we stigmatized them and told them they were dirty and told them they were gross, and hospitals refused to help them and they had nowhere to go but their own fucking bedroom with a coat hanger? Is that going to be my daughter? Is that going to be my granddaughter? Is that going to be my great-granddaughter? It scares me. As a woman, I'm terrified, not just for myself, for every woman that comes after me.
Well, and you know, on that issue, it always comes down to the women. It's always on the women. And tried to make the point several times talking to these people who call themselves pro-life. And just to reiterate something that we've said before, I'm sorry, but you don't get to call yourself pro-life. You're the same people who support these faith healer families and letting them murder their own children because of their religious beliefs. So you're not pro-life. Go in and step in and say, no, you can't murder your child because of your religious beliefs. You have to get the medical attention. Um, you know, these are the same people that fight us tooth and nail on those sorts of ideas and issues, but yet they want to call themselves pro-life because they're anti-abortion.
Right, you and I are pro-life. We're pro-life because we care about people past birth. Those people are pro-birth. That's what they are. We deserve the title pro-life. You and I do. Because we care not just about the life or the birth of a baby, but we care about the life of its mother, and we care about the life that she might be saving it from.
You know, and I tell these people all the time, you know, I'm like, look, let's start by stop to stop stigmatizing women, okay? And let's look at the very real fact that it takes two to tango. That women don't get pregnant immaculately. Virgin birth that you believe in is bullshit, and that doesn't happen ever, ever. There has to be a penis fucking involved in this. So let's take the stigma off women. Let's put the stigma on your little boy. Hey, you know what? When you hit puberty, vasectomy, so that you can't impregnate any other little girls. And when you finally decide that you meet a woman that you really love and you want to marry and you are ready to have children, then we can reverse the vasectomy and then you can have children. And then before that, you won't be able to get women pregnant. Problem, won't it? That solves the problem. No more abortions. No more abortions because little boys can't get little girls pregnant anymore because until they're ready to get married and have a family. That's exactly what you people think, right? You think that only be within the confines of a marriage, and it should only be between two loving adults, and it should only be for the purpose of procreation. So, I'm thinking. It is this vasectomy is a quick surgery, fairly uninvasive, fairly painless, reversible, can be done in just a matter of a few hours, and you know, you might have 1 or 2 days of icing down your nutsack. That's the worst of it. Take a couple Tylenol, you'll be all right. So how many of you are willing to put your 13-year-old boy on the chopping block? The government says we are no longer allowing abortion, and in order to actually make sure solve the problem, guaranteed 100% this will solve the problem. Every boy that is of age, that is of a sexually reproductive age, by law, to get a vasectomy. Are y'all cool with that? Raise your fucking hands. Anybody out there, comment in the fucking comment section. If you're a conservative cunt who is totally anti-abortion, are you willing to have this done with your son? to have the government come in and say what happens with your son's sexual organs and their reproductive health. Seem to have any problem dictating the sexual organs and the sexual reproduction of women. Are you cool with having it done to your kids, though, your sons? You gonna put your little boy's penis on the chopping block? You gonna put his little nuts on the chopping block? I'm not really cool with that because I don't think that forcing any person into an invasive surgery is in line with the idea of bodily autonomy. It's kind of something that we've respected for a long time in this country,
But we
supposedly
haven't.
anyway.
But we
But we
haven't,
haven't.
because we
Yeah.
have women who are forced to carry beings in their body and they can't get rid of them. Forced. Okay, and when I'm not just talking live children, I'm talking dead babies as well. Women are forced to carry dead babies in their body, and the government says, no, we will not remove it. You're gonna have to push it out. It's bullshit. Sorry.
So, oh no, you're absolutely correct. We've gone just a little bit over tonight, and I think just to wrap it up, I just want to reiterate the point that the title of this particular broadcast makes. Has no place in medicine or science. Your beliefs, your personal religious beliefs, don't belong in my medical room, in my fucking hospital room. They don't belong dictating the medical profession. Not allowed to happen within the medical profession. They don't belong dictating what can and cannot happen in the scientific arena. Aspects of our lives should be dictated by one thing and one thing only, and that is logic and reason based on factual fucking information. Your beliefs don't have a fucking place here. They don't. They don't belong in my fucking hospital room. They don't belong in my kids' hospital rooms. They don't belong in my wife's hospital rooms. They don't belong in Allie's children's hospital rooms. They don't belong in your hospital room. Whether you're a believer or not, they don't belong in your fucking hospital room. They don't belong in a fucking scientific lab telling a scientist what he can and can't do, prolong the lives of humanity, of members of this species of animals that we happen to be. There's a reason that we value, or at least we should. There's a reason atheists like myself damn sure value intelligence. I value every intelligent person out there, even the ones that I disagree with on some level. I value the shit out of Neil deGrasse Tyson, even though I think he's a coward because he won't tell people flat out, hey, I'm a fucking atheist. And he still fucking cowtails and tells people, oh, I'm agnostic or I'm a humanist. I still value him as a scientist. I value him as an intelligent human being and someone who has contributed to the well-being of humanity. So it's just a reminder, just these things don't actually mesh, you know, that, oh, science and religion work together and science and medicine, they work together. They work just fine together. They really don't. When it comes right down to it, they really, really don't. They don't have any business dealing with each other. It's the same way that religion and politics really don't have any business dealing with each other. They're not meant to be together. Not in a world that values human life and humanity above personal beliefs and personal ideas. As always, the thoughts, opinions, and views expressed here are not necessarily the thoughts, opinions, views of all members of Atheist Republic. We have well over 300 members in this organization. We cannot possibly speak for all of those members. If you have any issues, problems, complaints, or questions, about anything that we've covered here or talked about tonight, please direct those to myself or Miss Allie, or generally to the Devils in God's Country, and we will address anything that you have to say. I love reading your comments, questions, and responding to them. I'm very active on our YouTube page. I'm very active on our Facebook page, The Devils in God's Country. And something to say, please visit the page, visit our YouTube page, check us out, and speak your piece. And I'll be more than willing to address it. Allie likes to get on there from time to time as well, and she will address you as well. Um, please don't direct this stuff to the Atheist Republic. Although we are a very we are very major players in the Atheist Republic organization. This particular activity is not necessarily or endorsed by the Atheist Republic to any degree as to uh, actions, their words, or ideas be construed as being speaking for the entire organization. If you like what we do at the Atheist Republic, if you like what the Atheist Republic is all about, trying to build a strong, vibrant atheist community, please visit atheistrepublic.com and sign up as a volunteer. Volunteer your time. If you want to have your voice heard, you can volunteer as a blogger. We can always use people helping out in various ways there. So please visit atheistrepublic.com and offer to volunteer your time in any way, shape, or form that you can. As always, the things that we do at Atheist Republic, the organization, are not free. Of course, this podcast and things that we do here with Devils in God's Country is free, and we do this of our own free time and our own free will. But the organization itself is a private nonprofit, and we can always use a little assistance. So if you got a buck or two you can throw our way, we always appreciate it. If not, we're not going to hate on you. We won't try to sue you over you not tithing to us, no matter how much you love the organization. Another episode of The Devils in God's Country, and we will hopefully see you again, same time, same place, next Monday. Bye, everybody.